सागर है, सबकी आत्मा आनंद का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा शांति का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा ज्ञान का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा ज्ञान का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा शक्ति का सागर है, सागर है, सागर है। अनुभव कर लो, अनुभव कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। 20 मिनट बस ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। सुबह शाम बस ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। आसन प्राणायाम कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अवधेत ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अनुभव कर लो, अनुभव कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अवधेत ध्यान कर लो।
We have another 4 more minutes, Hemaji, before we start.
We can repeat.
We
can repeat the song. We can
Yes.
repeat it.
Yes, Hemaji.
तीर्थ ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। तीर्थ ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अनुभव कर लो, अनुभव कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। 20 मिनट बस ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। सुबह शाम बस ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। आसन प्राणायाम कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अनुभव कर लो, अनुभव कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अवधेत ध्यान कर लो। सबकी आत्मा शांति का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा आनंद का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा शांति का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा ज्ञान का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा ज्ञान का सागर है, सबकी आत्मा शक्ति का सागर है, सागर है, सागर है। अनुभव कर लो, अनुभव कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। 20 मिनट बस ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। सुबह शाम बस ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। आसन प्राणायाम कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अवधेत ध्यान कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अनुभव कर लो, अनुभव कर लो, जीवन पूर्ण बनेगा। अवधेत ध्यान कर लो।
Jai Gurudev to all. Welcome, Madhavi. Let us start.
Yes.
And Pooja is not here to display, so
I will go ahead with the display.
yes, please. Okay, okay. Let us begin.
Jai Gurudev. Welcome to all the participants for today's session of our Bhagavad Gita. So today's verse has a lot of importance because we will be talking about how we can try to liberate ourselves, trying to, balance, or how do we control our senses so that there is no fall, and how are we trying to liberate ourselves, establishing ourselves, transcending into meditation. So how are we moving beyond the three gunas? That is a very important aspect that we have to focus. So before we begin today's Gita session, I would like to request the Ved Pandits, Ghanshyamji, can we start with Sahana Vavatu and the Begin Mala verses 43 and 44 of chapter 2.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahana Karvame Tejasvina Bhavitamastu Mahavirdishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om मैम 42 से
43 and 44.
Om Om Yamimam Puspikam 43 Om Kamatmana Swargapara Janma Karma Phalaprada Kriya Visesa Bahuna Bhogeshwarya Gatim Prati Bhogeshwarya Prasaktanam Taya Prahata Chetasa Vyavasayatmika Buddhi समाधौ न विधीयते। ॐ
Thank you. Before we begin today's study of the 45th verse, we will have a recap of our last session where we were inspecting verses 40 to 44. So may I request Hema ji to just give a short recap for us on verses 40 to 44.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jai Gurudev. So in the verse 40, we learned 2 points. The first point is Neha Bhikramanashosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate, which means there is no obstacle on the path of evolution, number 1. And number 2, there is no effort is lost. No effort is lost because no effort is needed to reach the goal of bliss consciousness. Why no effort is needed? Because when the water is flowing in a slope, in a downward direction, it flows automatically. You don't have to do anything to make the water flow in that direction. So our practice of meditation is also like that. You just start and then we move in that direction of more and more happiness until we reach the goal. So that's the first point. And the second point in this verse is, even if you do a little bit of your dharma, it takes you out of great fear. And what is that fear? It is the fear of the cycle of birth and death. So it gets us out of that fear. So now the question comes, what is your dharma? Some people know their dharma and follow it, that's good. But some people say that they don't know what their dharma is. So in that situation, Maharishi said, doing transcendental meditation is your dharma because it will take you to the goal of our life. And what is our goal in the life? It is to experience Atma and then to go on to experience God in us by rising to Daivi Chetana. So it is very important to remember that your first dharma is yourself, because that makes you strong, and then you can take good care of your family once you're strong yourself. And in the following verses of 41 to 44, we have understood what a resolute and what an irresolute intellect is. Resolute intellect is one that is one-pointed. And irresolute intellect is one which is always wandering in sense enjoyment and not able to find lasting happiness and satisfaction. So that's what we have studied in the last session. And today we will be discussing verse 45. This is the most important shloka in the entire Bhagavad Gita. And first, we will have the pandits recite the shloka in Sanskrita, and then we will read one page at a time. There are 6 pages of commentary in the Maharishi commentary. We will take one page at a time. Okay? Go ahead. Madhavi?
Yes, thank you, Hema ji. Can we have Manish ji and Ghanshyam ji recite the Samskrita verse 45 of chapter 2?
Om Vaimunyavasaya Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryogatchema Mava. Om.
Anita ji?
Yes, Madhvi.
Yes. Can we have the English commentary?
Okay, Madhvi, just a minute.
Yes.
Mm. Do I read the verse also?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The Veda's concern is with the three gunas. Be without the three gunas, O Arjuna, freed from duality, ever firm in purity, independent of possessions, possessed of the self. This is the technique of instantaneous realization. Shri Krishna Bhagavan shows Arjuna a practical way of converging the many branched mind into one pointedness of the resolute intellect. Here is an effective technique for bringing the mind to a state where all differences dissolve and leave the individual in the state of fulfillment. Everything that has so far been said by Sri Krishna Bhagavan is to prepare Arjuna to understand this practice of bringing his mind from the field of multiplicity to that of eternal unity. This practice is to brighten all aspects of his life by bringing his mind to transcendental consciousness, the limitless source of life, energy, wisdom, peace, and happiness. It is to raise him to that cosmic status which harmonizes all the opposite forces of life. Modern psychological theories investigate causes in order to influence effects. They grope in darkness to find the cause of darkness in order to remove it. In contradistinction, here is the idea of bringing light to remove darkness. This is the principle of the second element. If you wish to produce an effect on the first element, ignore that element. Do not seek its cause. Influence it by directly introducing a second element. Remove the darkness by introducing light. Take the mind to the field of happiness in order to relieve it of suffering. However, even if we accept that by investigating the cause, it is easy to influence the effect, we shall find that this verse will serve our purpose, for it provides a technique by which the ultimate cause of all human life can be investigated. If knowledge of the cause can help to influence the effect, then knowledge of the ultimate cause of life will effectively put an end to all suffering. The greatness of Sri Krishna Bhagavan's teaching lies in its direct practical approach and its completeness from every point of view. The idea of introducing a second element and the idea of investigating the cause in order to influence its effect represent two principles distinctly opposed to each other, yet both of them are fulfilled in one technique. It is the completeness of practical wisdom that has made the Bhagavad Gita immortal. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Anita ji. Can we have the comments to the commentary read so far?
Yes. Right. So, in this shloka, Sri Krishna Bhagavan is giving Arjuna the technique of self-realization. In short, I will summarize this and again we'll be discussing this in detail. What the shloka means is, it's quite simple actually. It says that the entire creation consists of interplay of three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. These are born of Prakriti. But because Atma is beyond the three gunas, it is transcendental. Sri Krishna Bhagavan is telling Arjuna to be without three gunas. Then he will be Atmavan, established in Atma. So this is the technique of self-realization. With our regular practice of transcendental meditation, when the mind settles down and merges in Atma, one experiences the silence of Atma. And that connects us with Paramatma. So this is the essence actually. And now we will discuss everything in detail. There are 6 main points in this shloka, and we will examine each one at a time. So the first point we are going to cover is Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Vedas give us the knowledge of the 3 gunas. Sri Krishna Bhagavan is showing the practical way of converging the many branched mind. We just talked about the irresolute intellect, Abhyavasayatmika Buddhi. In the last session, we have studied that, and also we have recapped. So this irresolute intellect, how we can make it resolute, how we can change it into one-pointedness of the resolute intellect. So that's what is being explained now. Until now, Sri Krishna Bhagavan had been preparing Arjuna to receive this knowledge of how to bring his mind from the surface level of multiplicity to the deep level of unity, which is Atma, that is Sat Chit Ananda. And this is the inexhaustible reservoir of energy, intelligence, and happiness. So in this process of explaining, 2 things are covered. One is the principle of second element, and the second is the theory of investigating the cause to influence effect. So let's take the first point, that is the principle of second element. What does that mean? It means that if there is darkness, you bring in light. Take the mind to the field of happiness if there is suffering. There may be many different causes of suffering, such as ill health or financial problems. Son doesn't have a job, daughter is not getting married, etc., etc. So what do? We bring in happiness by meditation. Then everything else falls into place. Problems get resolved. Why? Because you get more nature support. We get nature support. We get support from that inexhaustible reservoir of energy, intelligence, and happiness that is deep within us. And we will be talking more about this later on. But for now, it is good to know that when we are getting in touch with Atma, our life begins to get better and we have more happiness. And also, if we want to look at the theory of investigating the cause to influence the effect, this is what the modern psychology does. Look at the cause. If there is a problem, they want to look at the cause so that they can change the effects from that cause. They want to remove the cause, or they want to deal at the level of the cause. That is also valid, Maharishi said, because when you are able to find out what the cause, then you treat the cause and then you get good results. So in this situation, we are investigating what is the ultimate cause of life. And we know that ultimate cause of life is Brahman. And by reaching there, one is able to put an end to suffering. So in this knowledge that we are getting in this verse, when you look at this knowledge from both sides, we arrive at the same result. So now we will continue reading and then I will comment again.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Hemaji. So we will just move ahead once again with the commentary that is there. Bhagwan Sri Krishna commands Arjuna, be without the three gunas, be without activity, be yourself. This is resolute consciousness, the state of being, the state of absolute being, which is the ultimate cause of all causes. This state of consciousness brings harmony to the whole field of cause and effect and glorifies all life. Arjuna's main problem was to reconcile love of kinsmen with the necessity to root out evil. He was desperately seeking a formula of compromise between righteousness and evil. But on any plane of relative life, these are irreconcilable. That is why, having explored all the avenues of his heart and mind, Arjuna could not find any practical solution, could not decide on any line of action. Bhagwan Sri Krishna, however, shows him the field where righteousness and love merge in eternal harmony, the eternal life of absolute being. Bhagwan makes clear to Arjuna that all influences of the outside world and their consequences as well will cling to him and affect him so long as he is out of himself, so long as he allows himself to remain in the sphere of relativity and under its influence. Once out of that sphere, he will find fulfillment in his own self. It is difficult for a man to improve his business affairs while he himself is constantly immersed in all their details. If he leaves them for a little while, he becomes able to see the business as a whole and can then more easily decide what is needed. Arjuna has a deep belief in dharma. His mind is clear about considerations of right and wrong. But Bhagwan asks him to abandon the whole field of right and wrong for the field of the transcendent. There, established in a state beyond all duality, beyond the influence of right and wrong, he will enjoy the absolute wisdom of life, from which springs all knowledge of the relative world. And Bhagwan says to Arjuna, the field of that absolute wisdom is not outside you. You have not to go out anywhere to acquire it. It is within you. You have only to be within yourself, possessed of the self, ever firm in the purity of your being. Here, indeed, is the skill of bringing light to remove darkness. Arjuna is not asked to come or go anywhere. He is only asked to be without the three gunas. This instruction serves as a direct means to take man to the absolute state of his consciousness. It is enough for Bhagavan to say, be without the three gunas, O Arjuna, freed from duality. Jai Gurudev.
So now we will discuss what gunas are. Sri Krishna Bhagavan is telling Arjuna to be without the three gunas. Gunas are in the field of activity. They are in the relative. And so when you are without gunas, you are without activity. Without activity means silence. Silence of self. So by being without gunas, you are being yourself. This is absolute being. This is the ultimate reality of life. Silence, that is unmanifest. So as long as one is out of oneself and in the area of relativity, one is affected by outside influences. But once you are out of this activity of the outside world, you will find fulfillment in your own self. Also, Arjuna had been very concerned about right and wrong. And the advice is to go beyond right and wrong and experience the transcendent. Because this concern about right and wrong is also in the relative. That's why the advice is to go beyond that. And then go beyond and experience the transcendent. That is the absolute wisdom of life. And that absolute wisdom of life is inside of you. It's not outside. We don't have to go anywhere. So now we will continue reading and we'll find out how to get to that state of absolute wisdom that is within us. Anitaji, continue reading, please.
So the entire creation consists of the interplay of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, born of prakriti or nature. The process of evolution is carried on by three gunas. Evolution means creation and its progressive development, and at its basis lies activity. Activity needs rajogun to create a spur, and it needs satogun and tamagun to uphold the direction of the movement. The nature of tamagun is to check or retard, but it should be the thought that when the movement is upwards, tamagun is absent. For any process to continue, there have to be stages in that process, and each stage, however small in time and space, needs a force to maintain it and another force to develop it into a new stage. The force that develops into a new stage is satogun, while tamagun is that which checks or retards the process in order to maintain the state already produced so that it may form the basis for the next stage. This explains why the three gunas have inevitably to be together. No one guna can exist in isolation without the presence of the other two. It is for this reason that Sri Krishna Bhagavan asks Arjuna to be out of all the three gunas, to be entirely out of the influence of the forces that constitute life in the relative field. While giving him the wisdom of Sankhya, Sri Krishna Bhagavan has told Arjuna that there are two aspects of life, perishable and imperishable. The perishable is relative existence, and the imperishable is absolute being. All life in the relative field is under the sway of the gunas. Therefore, in order to give Arjuna the direct experience of the absolute state of life, he asks him to be without the three gunas. There are gross planes of creation and there are subtle planes. When Sri Krishna Bhagavan says, be without the three gunas, he means that Arjuna should bring his attention from the gross planes to experience through the subtle planes and thus to the subtlest plane of experience. Transcending even that subtlest plane, he will be completely out of the relative field of life, out of the three gunas, so that Shri Krishna Bhagavan's words, be without the three gunas, reveal the secret of arriving at the state of pure consciousness. Jai Gurudev.
So now let us continue the discussion of the gunas and how to transcend them. The entire creation consists of interplay of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, born of Prakriti. So what are these sattva, rajas, and tamas? Sattva is the quality of positivity, peacefulness, virtue, balance, harmony, etc. Rajas is the quality of passion, activity. It can be good or bad. And it is self-centeredness, egoism. Tamas is the quality of dullness or inactivity, laziness, imbalance, anxiety, negativity, violence, or ignorance. All these three gunas carry out the process of evolution. What is evolution? Evolution means creation and its progressive development. Means you are going from a lower state to a higher state. And so there is movement there. There is activity. Activity needs Rajoguna to create a movement. And then Satoguna and Tamoguna to take this movement in an upward or downward direction. The force that takes the process of evolution to a higher state is Satoguna. Then that increases peace and balance. And the force that retards the evolution is Tamoguna. So all these gunas have to be together inevitably. No one guna exists in isolation. So for that reason, Arjuna is asked to be without all the three gunas that constitute life in the relative field. So how do we do that? Maharishi explained, there are subtler planes and there are grosser planes. So we go from grosser planes to a subtler plane, and then to the subtler, to the subtlest, and then we go beyond the subtlest level, and then we transcend. We go beyond even the subtlest level of thinking. That is the finest level of awareness. So all of us are aware of this experience. When we begin meditation, it may seem like you're having a lot of thoughts, you're on the surface level. And after a few minutes, you will find that your mind is settling down and your thoughts are becoming more subtle. After a little while more, the thoughts are becoming subtler. And then eventually, the thoughts become very, very subtle. And you reach the subtlest level of thinking. And then you will reach a point where you go beyond the subtlest level of thinking. And then you experience that perfect silence. There is no mantra, no thought. That is the experience of transcendental consciousness. And Sri Krishna Bhagavan had explained this Sankhya wisdom, and that there are two aspects of life. That is, gunas are in the ever-changing relative. That is one aspect of life. You are in the field of activity of the gunas, activity of the thought in meditation. And the other aspect is never changing absolute. That is silence. It's no activity there. So we know that the mind is active and we are having thoughts. So that is in the relative. So in order to get the experience of absolute, which is the other aspect of life, we go beyond the three gunas. So this is what is said in the first line of the shloka. Traigunya Vishaya Veda, that is, Vedas explain all about the gunas. Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Arjuna, you go beyond the three gunas. So that is in the first line. Now we will move on to the second line. Nidvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan. And Mataji will be covering that. But before that, we will continue reading, please.
Thank you, Hemaji.
I would like to stop for a minute and see if there are any questions at this point. Okay, so let's move on.
Okay. When you say to someone, come here, you imply by these two words that he must get up and begin to put one foot before the other, and that this walking on both feet will bring him to you. When Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, be without the three gunas, he obviously means that in whichever field of the three gunas you have your stand, from there you are to begin moving towards subtler planes of the gunas and arriving at the subtlest. Come out of it, transcend it, be by yourself, possessed of the self, freed from duality, ever firm in purity, independent of possessions. Bhagavan Sri Krishna in this verse has really given the technique of self-realization. Arjuna was held in suspension between the dictates of his heart and mind. Bhagavan Sri Krishna suggests to him that he should come out of the conflict and he will then see his way clear. That is why, having said, be without the three gunas, he immediately adds, freed from duality, freed from the field of conflicts. The relative field of life is full of conflicting elements, heat and cold, pleasure and pain, gain and loss, and all the other pairs of opposites which constitute life. Under their influence, life is tossed about as a ship on the rough sea from one wave to another. To be freed from duality is to be in the field of non-duality, the absolute state of being. This provides smoothness and security to life in the relative field. It is like an anchor to the ship of life in the ocean of the three gunas. One gains steadiness and comfort. Arjuna was highly sensitive to right and wrong. For this reason, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, after saying free from duality, at once adds, ever firm in purity. He wants to assure Arjuna that this state will always prove right in accordance with the dharma, ever furthering the process of evolution for the good of all. Nothing wrong can possibly result from it, because that is the state of fulfillment. Jai Gurudev.
Hema, can we finish the whole thing if it is okay?
No, Mataji, it is very long, 3 pages. I think it will be hard for the audience to grasp the whole thing. So that's why we,
How many more
divided.
pages are there? I thought we finished already 4, right?
Yeah, so there are 6 pages.
2 more are there, Mataji.
2 more are there. I mean, if we can finish, I'll summarize it. It will be much easier because so much of repetition is going on in the whole thing, right?
So shall I go ahead, Hemaji?
Yeah.
Okay. To convey this idea of fulfillment, Sri Krishna Bhagavan says, independent of possession, the Sanskrit word used in this text is nirogashma, nirogashma, which carries
Yogakshema.
Shema, which carries the meaning that in this state, one is not required to think of gaining what one does not have or preserving what one has. Duryodhana desires to possess and preserve possessions is the cause of the battle. Even in the ordinary life of man, it is this tendency to possess that tempts him to go wrong way. So, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that he will transcend this cause of transgression in life. Thereby, he also reminds Arjuna that Duryodhana could take the wrong path because he gained kingdom, pleasure, and power, but did not gain the wisdom of remaining independent of possessions. That is why possessions kept him bound to themselves and he lost his sense of proportion. By using this expression, independent of possession, Sri Krishna Bhagavan is providing the answer to Arjuna's own words in verse 32 of chapter 1. I desire not victory, O Krishna, nor a kingdom, nor pleasure. Arjuna had seen how pleasure and power they ruin a man's life by blinding him to the cause of righteousness. Here, Sri Krishna Bhagavan is educating him in the art of independence in the midst of possessions. For after the battle, Arjuna is going to be placed in a position of great wealth and power. Having said, freed from duality, ever firm in purity, independent of possession, Sri Krishna Bhagavan adds, possessed of the self. This is to indicate to Arjuna that this blessed state of life is not far distant from him. It is within himself and therefore always within his reach. And moreover, it is his own self, nothing other than his own self. There is a great presence of mind, great skill in enlightening the ignorant, and the height of perfection in the style of this discourse. If you are told by someone, I will take you to the field of great wisdom and abundance of life, without some indication of where the wisdom and abundance of life, that field lies, you may be puzzled about many things, about the distance, the difficulties on the way, your own ability to get there. That is why Sri Krishna Bhagavan uses the words possessed of the self. Let yourself be possessed by yourself. Once you are possessed by yourself, the purpose of all wisdom has been achieved. There, the Vedas end. This is the end of the journey of life. That is the state of fulfillment. For this reason, possessed of the self stands at the end of the verse. Here is the technique that enables every man to come to a great treasure house within himself, and so rise above all sorrows and uncertainties in life. From this verse onwards, the entire teaching of the Bhagavad Gita proclaims the glory of achieving the state of the transcendent. It is the transcendental state of being which enables the man to become a Karam Yogi, one who is successful on the path of action. It is this that enables the man to become Bhakta, one who is successful on the path of devotion. And it is this that enables a man to become a Jnani, one who is successful on the path of knowledge. This is the highway to the fulfillment of life's purpose. Jai Gurudev.
If a man wants to be a true devotee of God, he has to become his pure self. He has to free himself from those attributes which do not belong to him, and then only can he have one-pointed devotion. If he is enveloped by what he is not, then his devotion will be covered by that foreign element. His devotion will not reach God, and the love and blessings of Bhagwan will not reach him. For his devotion to reach Bhagwan, it is necessary that he should become purely himself, covered by nothing. Then the process of devotion will connect him directly with Bhagwan, thereby bestowing on him the status of a devotee. Only when he has become himself can he properly surrender to the great self of Bhagwan. If he remains in the field of the three gunas, in the many sheets of gross and subtle nature, then it is these sheets that prevent direct contact with Bhagwan. Therefore, the first step towards union through devotion is to be oneself. This, likewise, is the first step on the path of Jnana Yoga, the path of union through knowledge, and also on the path of union through action, Karma Yoga. Because it is the state of transcendental consciousness, that is the state of jnana or knowledge, and that delivers from the bondage of karma. This state is also the basis of success in any field of life. The field of the three gunas is enlivened by the light of the absolute being beyond the gunas. The following verse shows that the purpose of all activity is fulfilled in this state of being. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev to all of you. Thank you for reading all of it. I know it is long, but who can say it better than Maharishi Ji? He's very clear. His every word is clear. His every sentence is clear. The sequence is very clear. And there is no, if one is able to listen in silence and clarity, I think all is clear really. And Hema Ji did a wonderful job on, bringing a lot of clarity on the gunas. So I will try to recap and see, what one can take. I am always a take-home person. So I will say, what is it that you can take today from this verse? which is so profound and which is like the what can I say? It is like the soul of the Gita, this whole verse itself. It brings, tremendous knowledge. So I will just, read the verse itself, not the verse, but the translation. And where it says, the Veda's concern is with the three gunas. And Bhagavan is saying, be without the three gunas. He's further saying, O Arjuna, freed from duality, ever firm in purity, independent of possessions, be possessed of the self. Now, if we can recap the verse 44, there are only two words there. He said, be resolute. Be resolute. And here, the resolute state of intellect does not arise in the mind of those who are deeply attached to pleasure and power. So this is what Bhagavan has said. So he said you have to move beyond this pleasure and power, be resolute. Because all activity engages the mind in diversity and it is opposed to the process of convergence. So in these two verses, Bhagavan is repeatedly saying, be resolute. The next thing he said is, free oneself from pair of opposites. Free oneself from pair of opposites. The pairs of opposites are pleasure and pain, heat and cold, gain and loss, victory and defeat, honor and dishonor, praise and censure. So, if one can free yourself from the pair of opposites, then one can free from the thought of acquisition and preservation and be established in the self. So, again and again, Bhagavan comes back in these 6 pages. I don't know how many times he has said, be without the gunas. So, if the intention is there, and if there is proper guidance from the Guru, then the mind can gain one-pointedness even in the midst of pleasure and power. But the guidance of the Guru and the technique is important here. So here in this verse 45, Bhagavan has given the technique of self-realization. And Hemaji very beautifully elucidated this in great detail. And earlier, Arjuna was held in suspension between the dictates of his heart and mind. And then Bhagavan suggests to him that he should come out of this conflict. And again he says, be without the three gunas, then only he will be able to see it clear. The next thing Bhagavan says is, be free of duality. Not only be beyond the pair of opposites and be beyond the gunas, but be free of duality. So the relative field of life is full of conflicting elements of qualities, which we have already discussed, as the pair of opposites, whether it is heat and cold, pleasure and pain, gain and loss, etc. Under their influence, now, either it is Arjuna or a seeker, life is tossed up as a ship on the rough sea. Continuously it is tossing up. So to be freed from duality means you have to be in the field of non-duality. This has to be clear. If you're being free of duality, you have to be established in the non-duality. And what is this non-duality? It is the state of being. Because being is only oneness. There is no non-duality there. And this provides smoothness and security to life in a relative field. And it becomes an anchor to the ship of life in the ocean of gunas. And one gains steadiness and comfort. So we moving from this pair of opposites, becoming more resolute and moving beyond duality, beyond the gunas, is only for what? You want to study, you want to have more comfort, more happiness, and more purpose. So here, Krishna is helping Arjuna understand the practice of bringing his mind from the field of multiplicity to that eternal unity, to brighten all aspects of life by bringing his mind to transcendental consciousness. And here is the reservoir of this unbounded source of life, the energy, wisdom, peace, and happiness. Now, Hemaji beautifully introduced, and explained about introducing the need for the second element. The need for the second element. So, here, just removing the darkness of ignorance by introducing the light of knowledge and taking the mind to a field of happiness from a field of misery to relieve the suffering. And it is this practical wisdom Gita is offering. Bhagavan is telling verse after verse, verse after verse. He's saying, don't stay in that relative field. Come to the absolute. Don't stay in that multiplicity. Come to the oneness. Don't stay in the duality. You bring your mind to resoluteness. Now, only how do we deal with Arjuna's main problem? Arjuna's main problem was to reconcile love to kinsmen with the necessity to root out evil. He thought, he was going to reconcile his love. And he thought this way he will root out the evil. And he was desperately seeking a formula of compromise between righteousness and evil. But on any plane of relative life, they are irreconcilable. They cannot come together. Having explored all the avenues of his heart and mind, Arjuna could not decide on any line of action. And here Bhagavan shows him the field where the righteousness and the love merge in the eternal harmony, the eternal life of the absolute being. And this is the purpose of this whole verse, is how to bring this harmony and bring together. Now, Arjuna has many positive aspects. At least two of them are mentioned here. Arjuna has a deep belief in dharma. He's very committed to dharma. And his mind is clear about, he knows what is right and wrong in that individual mind. So what did Bhagavan Krishna finally say? He asked him to abandon the whole field of right and wrong. Arjuna, forget about the field of right and wrong for the field of the transcendent. You forget about what is right and wrong. You just go to the transcendent. Established in a state beyond all duality, beyond the influence of right and wrong, you enjoy the absolute wisdom of life. And this is where your place is. So you need to know how to get there. And he further says, the field of that absolute wisdom is not outside you. It is within you. And you have to be firm. Every seeker has to be firm in the purity of your own being. Now, Hemaji already explained that the entire creation consists of all the three gunas. We're not going to go into that. And no one guna exists in isolation. Other two gunas also will be there. So you cannot say, I'm going to just transcend tamas or rajas. No, Bhagavan is saying transcend all the three gunas because they're not isolated. They're together. So you have no choice but to transcend all the three gunas in order to experience the being. And Bhagavan's teaching in Sankhya, if you go back, as you read in the earlier verses, he says there are the two aspects of life, the perishable and the imperishable. And then the perishable is the relative existence, And all the life in the relative field is under the sway of these gunas only. All of relativity is just the play of the gunas, continuous play of the gunas. And the imperishable is the absolute being. So if you have to come from that perishable to the imperishable, you have no other choice. You have to transcend and the gunas and this pair of opposites, these dualities, these multiplicities, and come to the being. Now Bhagavan is giving the technique of transcendence here. Again and again in the 6 pages, it has been repeated many times. And Hemaji explained very, very beautifully how you transcend from the gross planes to the subtler, to the subtler, to the subtler. And you come to the absolute field and it be in the field of the transcendental consciousness. And when Bhagavan is saying further, he's saying this whole idea of Nistraygunya, coming beyond, going beyond the gunas, is only 2 things here. Is to expand the idea of fulfillment in you. And being independent of possessions. You have to be independent of possessions. Then only you feel the fulfillment. All these possessions are the play of the gunas. So if you can be free of these possessions, which are created by the gunas, only then this idea of fulfillment is fulfilled in you. Now, Niryoga Kshema, it means a state when one is not required to think of gaining what one does not have or preserving what one has. Let me repeat again. It is a state where one is not required to think of gaining what one does not have. I don't have this, I don't have this, I need this. Or preserving, I have this, I have this, I have to preserve it. It may be buildings, it may be thoughts, it may be ideas, it may be people, it may be anything. So there is something that you want to gain and something you want to protect. So if you are free of these 2 things, then you will be in the state of the being. You will be free. You will be independent of these possessions and you will gain the fulfillment. For that, an example was given. Duryodhana's desire to possess and preserve possessions is the cause of the battle. The whole battle happened because Duryodhana wanted to possess the whole thing, the whole kingdom, everything in the kingdom. And then he wanted to preserve the possessions. He didn't want even one iota, one atom, even to be given to Pandavas or for the goodwill. So this is what has caused the battle. And even in the life of the ordinary man, it is his tendency to possess that tempts him to go the wrong way. I want to possess. I want to possess. So actually possessing knowledge is also one of the possessions also. Possessing more and more knowledge, gathering more and more knowledge, or gathering more and more, you want that. That is also, it also comes under the same field. So one has to look at it in a very careful way, especially the seekers. And so Bhagavan says to Arjuna that he will transcend this course of transgression in life. And here Krishna is educating Arjuna in the art of gaining independence in the midst of possessions. You may be surrounded by all this kingdom, by all these possessions, by all this, whatever you have. But you still should learn the art of being independent, free of them. Be yourself. So what does Bhagavan mean by saying possessed by the self? This is a very important sentence or a key words in this verse. Bhagavan is repeatedly saying possessed by the self. So it means that you let yourself be possessed by your own self, not by those outer things, not by what the gunas are producing, but be possessed of your own self. The purpose of all wisdom has been achieved when you possess yourself, and here the Vedas come to an end. This is the end of the journey of life, and this is the state of final fulfillment. Now, I will just give a summary, final summary. Here, Bhagavan has given the technique that every man has to reach out to the great treasure house within himself and to rise above all sorrows and uncertainties in life. And this is the transcendental state of being which enables a man to become a karma yogi, one who is successful on the path of action, to become a bhakta yogi, one who is successful on the path of devotion, and to become a jnana yogi, one who is successful on the path of knowledge. And so he has given the highway to the fulfillment of life's purpose. And what did Bhagavan say? You have to become your pure self. You have to be free yourself from those attributes which do not belong to you. Whether it is bhakti yoga, or whether it is jnana yoga, or whether it is karma yoga, through any of those, you have to ultimately be yourself, be possessed of yourself. It is the state of transcendental consciousness that delivers from the bondage of this karma. Because all karma, whether it is manasika, thoughts, whether it is your speech, whether it is your actions, all create the karma. And nothing else will relieve it other than when you are possessed by yourself and when you are that being alone. And this is the basis of success in any field of life. The field of the three gunas in the relative field is enlivened by the light of the absolute being. So the being is needed also to play the gunas, because as long as you live, you have to live a life. You have to play with the gunas, and you have to continue with the drama of life. The purpose of all activity is fulfilled in the state of absolute being. And now finally, I will read the verse again. Translation. The Veda's concern is with the three gunas. Be without the three gunas, O Arjuna, freed from duality, ever firm in purity, independent of possessions, possessed by the self. Be like that. It is for the seeker and it is for the Arjuna. I end here. Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Mataji. Can we have the scientific research on this verse? Hemaji, can I go ahead with the scientific research?
Yes, please.
Yes. This verse, verified by the scientific research, shows increased EEG coherence during the practice of transcendental meditation. Here, higher levels of EEG coherence were measured during the practice of transcendental meditation technique. And it has been observed that they have significantly correlated with clearer experiences of pure consciousness, pure wakefulness. And also, the study found that many experiences of pure consciousness were associated with periods of natural respiratory suspension, and that during these respiratory suspension periods, individuals displayed higher mean EEG coherence, overall frequencies, and brain areas, in contrast to those who were not practicing transcendental meditation. The main point of this verse, there were, as Hemaji was saying, there are many main points in this verse, but when we highlight Bhagwan Sri Krishna was telling Arjuna, free yourself from duality. So the main point, freed from duality, indicates EEG indications of a unique state of restful alertness, experience of pure consciousness during transcendental meditation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhavi, and thank you, Mataji. Any questions?
Yes, Hemaji, I would like to ask Mataji.
Yeah.
She was talking and telling us about independence of possession. And in that, she mentioned one line about knowledge. And she said that we have to be careful about knowledge as well. May I please request her to elaborate on that point, please?
Yeah. I'm not talking about the pure knowledge, Nana, because, the knowledge that you gain, through the transcendental experience is the pure knowledge, you see. But, nowadays, you see that there is a lot of, there is so much available on the internet or the medias or the videos and all those things. And some people are, all the time only reading books and listening to the talks and listening to the lectures, because it's like a big supermarket these days. You can go here, you can go there, you can go there and gain that. But they don't really bother to sit down and close their eyes and go inside and get the transcendental experience. So your experience is, is not it's not a wasted thing, because you're growing on it. That's a platform. It's a platform from where, you're going deeper and you're rising above. You're going deeper and you're rising above. That is, not at all there. But all those people who want to just get the book knowledge and who want to just gain, what others are saying, that is what I'm saying. That kind of a knowledge is also a burden. That kind of a knowledge is also an attachment. And it is also a possession. And because, there is no purity in it, it is not just a verified knowledge. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mataji, for clearing my mind. And one more thing. And
Maharishi has saved us. Maharishi has saved us. He put us, in transcendence.
And Mataji, when we are talking about the second element, Maharishi very clearly says that, we are never in the state of suspension and confusion if we are in the resolute intellect.
Right.
So the second element, can we also use that principle of science of creative intelligence as a field of possibility?
The knowledge of the science of creative intelligence?
Yes, which says that if you're not here and you're stuck up here, then use the second element. You have another field of possibility. Then if you're stuck there, you have another. That's what Maharishi always told. That there is a field of possibility.
Yes, that it is a second element. The pure knowledge is a second element too. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, every time you read and you transcend and you listen and you transcend, you're using a second element there. You're using Bhagavan's knowledge, right? Okay. Directly Bhagavan's knowledge you're using. So that is the second element. That is clarifying automatically some doubts there. And it is helping you further with the transcendence and bringing more clarity. So here definitely, Bhagavad Gita is the second element.
Thank you. Thank you, Jagode.
Thank you.
I may add, and I hope I'm not wrong, the field of all possibilities, that field, whatever we are saying, it is that same field in case we are stuck in a situation. The solution for that is also existing in that field itself. It is only through the practice of PM we will bounce on what is the solution for that. And we are out of that situation. So it is both the problem, solution, everything is lying there, but we need to identify what is what.
It's only the consciousness which can identify it. Correct. Because, only when the consciousness rises and then the mind becomes that clear, just like the sun reflecting in the clear pond. Even if one ripple is there, it cannot reflect clearly, right? So that is again a play of the consciousness and then the play of the clarity only. So it will bring, it will, we all have to start the journey at Gangotri and go up to the Ganga Sagar. Right? Okay. So I think I will take leave. I have another meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
so
Maharishi,
much.
for your
Thank you.
beautiful comments. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. All of you have, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
Okay.
Really. Yeah. Thank you.
So, Madhavi, we just have 15 minutes. So 5 minutes group meditation, 5 minutes chanting, and then we'll celebrate Pooja's birthday.
Okay. So maybe request all of you to close your eyes, and we will have a short meditation for 5 minutes. Thank you.
अभी इनके चलते
Jai Gurudev. Slowly open your eyes. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, Manishji and Ghanshanji. मैं भूल गई. Can we do from 37 till the end? Is that okay? मनीष जी.
जी दीदी.
हाँ, 36 से आखिरी तक कर सकते.
जी जी.
हाँ,
शुरू करें.
हाँ करें.
ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः. ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे व्यासे अमृता पुरा मध्ये महात्म अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्बा त्वामनुसन्तदा गीते भवद्वेषिणी यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति देव्यैस्तवैर्वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगा ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यां तं न विदुः सुरासुराः देवान् तस्मै नमः. ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः. पतन्तियोऽध्यायः. ओम ततो वा प्राप्स्यति स्वर्गं जिह्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महि तस्मादुत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चयः सुखदुःखे समे कृत्वा लाभान् भोक्ष्य जयम् ततो युद्धाय युज्यस्व नेकं पापमवाप्स्यसि एषा ते विहिता साङ्ख्ये बुद्धिर्योगे बुद्ध्या यया पार्थ कर्मबन्धं प्रहस्यसि नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो नश्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयः व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः कुरुनन्दन द्वौ शाखायन्ताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसाय यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचां प्रवदन्त्य विपश्चितः एतवादरता पार्थ नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः कामात्मानः स्वर्गपराजन्म कर्म फलप्रदा क्रियाविशेषबहुला भूतेश्वर्य गतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां तया बृहदचित्तसा व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विद्यते त्रैगुण्यविषया निस्त्रियो भवार्जुन निर्ममो नित्यसत्त्वस्थो निर्गयोक्षेमहात्मवान् यावानर्थ उदपाने सर्वतः सम्पृक्तोदके तावान् सर्वेषु ब्रह्मणस्य विजानतः कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भोर्माप्यसंकोचकर्मणि योगस्थः कुरु कर्म सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते दूरेण ह्यहं कर्म बुद्धियोगात् धनञ्जयः बुद्धो शरणमनगच्छ कृपणाफलहेतवः बुद्धियुक्तो जहाति उभयेषु कृतदुष्कृते तस्माद्योगाय यज्ञस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम् कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्मबन्धमोक्षः पदं गच्छन्त्यनामयम् यदा ते मोहकलितं बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्णीतं श्रोतव्यस्य सुतस्य च श्रुतिप्रतिपन्ना ते यदा स्थास्यति निश्चय समाधावचला बुद्धिस्तदा योगसमाप्स्यसि अर्जुनोवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भासा समाधिस्थस्य केशव चिदधीतं प्रभासे किमासीत व्रजेत किम् श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रजहाति सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मनो तिष्ठा स्थितप्रज्ञस्ततोच्यते दुःखेषु मनुष्यज्ञमनः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधास्थितिर्निरुच्यते या सर्वात्रानुस्नेहस्तत्प्राप्याप्यशुभाशुभम् नाभिनन्दति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता यदा सम्भरते चलयम् सर्वसः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं स्वप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं पुनः तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्तयादितमत्परः वसेहिन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सर्वस्तेषु उपजायते सर्वात् सञ्जायते क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति शोकः संमोहः स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति रागद्वेषवियुक्तेस्तो विषयानिन्द्रियश्चरन् आत्मस्येविधेयात्मप्रसादधिगच्छति प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानानिस्योपजायते सोह्यासो बुद्धिपर्यवतिष्ठते नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्ता युक्तस्य न च युक्तस्य भावना न च भावयति रसान्तस्य कुतः शुभम् इन्द्रियाणां हि चरितां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरिति विद्यां वायुर्नानिभावसि तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निर्गीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियाभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता यानि तस्यां जागर्ति यस्यां जागन्ति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनिः आपूर्यमाणामचलप्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमापः प्रवसन्ति तद्वत्कामायं शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् उपाश्चरति निष्ठः निर्ममोऽहङ्कारः सशान्तिमधिगच्छति येषां स्थिता पार्थान्येषां विमुह्यते मंत्रकाले ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे साङ्ख्ययोगो नाम अध्यायः। ॐ
Jai Gurudev. May I request Kritika Meenakshi to sing the birthday song in Samskrita for Pooja. Today is her birthday, so let us all wish her birthday wishes in Sanskrit. Kritika.
Jai Gurudev everyone. Many more happy returns of the day, Pooja ji. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
जन्मदिनमिदं ऐ प्रिय पूजा जी जन्मदिनमिदं ऐ प्रिय पूजा जी शन्तनोतु ते सर्वदा मुदं शन्तनोतु ते सर्वदा मुदं प्रार्थयामहे भवशतायुषी प्रार्थयामहे भवशतायुषी ईश्वर सदा त्वं च रक्षतु ईश्वर सदा त्वं च रक्षतु पुण्यकर्मणा कीर्तिमर्जया पुण्यकर्मणा कीर्तिमर्जया जीवनं तव भवतु सार्थकं जीवनं तव भवतु सार्थकं भवतु सार्थकं भवतु सार्थकं. Thank you everyone. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Very nice, Meenakshi.
Thanks
You
a
made
lot.
Pooja
Thank
very
you
happy.
so much.
Very
Very
beautiful.
nice.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Hemaji.
Yes. Now I would like to request our Vedic pandits Manishi and Ghanshamji to give Vedic Ashirvad to Pooja.
Thank you.
Om Besavatak Besavato Moko Besavato Bahorota Besavata Sapata Sambahobayam Dhamate Sampatatardhyava Bhumi Janayam Deva Ekaha. Om Aswadayi Godayi Dhanadayi Mahadhane धनम मे जसताम देवीं सर्वकामाश्च देहि मे श्रीरवरचस्वमायुष्यमारोग्यमाभिधाक्षोभमानं महीयते धनम धान्यं पशुं बहुकीर्तिलाभं सत्संवत्सरं दीर्घमायुः Harihi Om.
Thank you, Manishji, for Vedic Ashirvad, for our very dear Pooja. Very happy birthday
Thank
to
you,
Pooja. Pooja had been a teacher of transcendental meditation for a few years now, and she taught many people, putting them on the path to enlightenment. And her devotion to Maharishi, her devotion to Gita is really admirable. And she's always busy, no matter how busy she is. When I ask for some help, she will jump up and help. She will never say, "Oh, Himaji, I'm busy, I can't do that." So I really appreciate that very much. Pooja, we are really happy to have you in our group. Do you want to say a few words?
Jai Gurudev Himaji. I'm so overwhelmed with all these things. I'm really feeling so blessed to have you all to wish me on my birthday, and it's really good. And whatever you have said, it's not me, it's all Gurudev. So I can say Jai Gurudev. It's all glory to Gurudev. I was nothing before this meditation. Thank you. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Anita ji wished you in the chat box, and
yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
Yes.
And you are doing a wonderful job, Himaji. Just carry on. We will spread this Gita everywhere.
It is all Guru Kripa, and it is all because of you coming together that we are able to have this group. If you all did not come together, we wouldn't have Gita Satsang. So I appreciate and I thank you all for coming together for this very beautiful Gita discussion. It is such a joy to share Maharishi's knowledge with great devotees like you all. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jai. Thanks, Manishji. Thanks, Himaji.
Wonderful day, Poojaji. God bless you in abundance.
Thank you, Madhuriji.
So with this, Himaji, can we conclude our today's session?
Yes, please.
Thank you all. Maybe you can just come on your cameras and we can say Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, all of you come on your cameras and then we'll say Jai Gurudev and then we'll sign off.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Vani. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. So we'll meet again next week, same time. Jai Gurudev. So I'll go ahead.